Okay, I think we'll get started then. So, good evening. This is March 24th, 2021, Newbery Planning Board meeting. So, as a preliminary matter, my name is Pete Pecos. I'm the chair of the Newbery Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Larry Murphy.
Present.
Thank you, sir. George Morse.
Here.
Thank you, George. Leslie Matthews.
Yes.
Thank you, Leslie. Woody Knight.
Here.
Thank you, Woody. Town staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Martha Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. Emily Noble.
Here.
Thank you. Anticipated speakers, presenters on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. Stephen Sawyer.
Not yet.
Okay. Vincent Godin.
I'm here.
Hey, Vincent. Joe Stromer.
Not yet.
Okay. Austin Drake.
Not yet.
Michael D'Angelo.
Not yet.
TJ Melvin.
We'll be here about 7.
Perfect. And Phil
Criticos.
Criticos.
Yeah, he's the architect. He will try to join. If not, we will speak later.
Okay, perfect. Good evening. This is March 24th, 2021. Open meeting of the Newbery Planning Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. Wow, 1 year.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order supersedes the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in publicly accessible location. Further, all members of the public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting, allows the public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Newbery Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found on the Planning Board section of the town's website and which identifies how public may join. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID 832-7141-3056 or by calling 929-205-6099 and entering the meeting ID number when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are participating by video and or telephone conference. Meeting materials were provided to the board members prior to the meeting for review. Applicants or their representatives may be called upon to speak and, if needed, share information to the screens. Please state your intention after you have been called upon. Before we turn to the first item on the agenda, please permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I, as the chair, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After the speaker concludes their remarks, I will go down the list of board members, inviting each member by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, for all attendees except board members and staff, please remember to mute your phone, which is *6 to toggle to mute and unmute, and on your computer, the mute button when you are not speaking. Please use earbuds or earphones with tablets or cell phones. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. Please be aware that video participants can see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. For any responses, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If board members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself when you wish to speak. With regards to public comment, there will be an opportunity for public comment and questions during the public hearings. After board members have spoken, I will afford the public an opportunity to comment and or ask questions as follows. I will seek questions and comments through the Zoom raise hand function. For video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the bottom of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the yellow hand that appears. If you do not see a yellow hand, click on the participants button. A list of participants will open and display on the right. At the bottom of the participants area, you'll see an option to click to raise the hand button. Please ensure that your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. You may rename by using more functions next to your name. For telephone participants, to raise your hand in the Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your keypad. I will then allow questions and comments from members from the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they are listed, which is the order who first hits the raise hand function. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address and then ask a question or make comments. I will afford the applicant participant or his or her representative the opportunity to reply. Your hand will then be lowered when you have been given the floor for your question. I will then continue down the list of those in the raised hand column and again afford participant applicant's representative opportunity to speak. Should there be any physical or electronic submittal of questions or concerns, they will be noted for the record, and again, the participant applicant representative will be afforded the opportunity to speak if the issues raised have not yet been addressed. And we should note that for each vote taken this evening, they will be conducted by roll call. Okay, with that said, it's 6:37. So we have a number of public hearings that are going to be starting at 7:15, and they'll be dealt with in the order that they are up here in the agenda. Since there are 3 public hearings tonight, we're going to try to again limit discussion to 30 to 45 minutes maximum, if possible, out of courtesy to the applicants, other speakers on the agenda, and members of the public in attendance and other board members. All right. Let's see. On the agenda, the first item on the agenda is submissions. And Martha, we have no submissions. Is that correct?
That's correct. We have no submissions. And just to clarify, our first public hearing starts at 6:45.
6:45. Thank you, Martha. Thank you. Not 7:15. Whoops. Big oops. We've been be here looking at ourselves for quite some time. Under new business, do we have any new business?
We have no new business tonight.
That is beautiful. Under old business, we have the planning board rules and regulations, and we have 7 minutes. Do you think we can cover this in 7 minutes?
I don't know. We might want to wait until after the first public hearing because I'm guessing we may have a little time then.
Okay, we can do that. Then let's move into the planner director report.
And actually, I don't have too much to report since last week.
All right.
So maybe the liaison reports.
Continuing down along the liaison reports, we can start with the select board. Leslie, do you want to fill us in?
Last night they had a discussion about the special permit for the water supply protection overlay district, and they voted yes to go forward. Also, town clerk Leslie Haley came out and gave us a update on early voting, which was very helpful.
What does that look like, Leslie, early voting?
It's a shorter period of time than it was for the national election, but it will give people the ability to get in, do physical early voting and do mail-in early voting as well. So it'll be very helpful for those people that can't get out or are still, working through the COVID and haven't received their vaccinations. So it's a positive thing.
And when does that start?
It's not until just about a week or 2 prior to the election. So it's a shorter period of time than before, but it's still very helpful.
Okay.
I think she said it'll be from May 3rd through
3rd.
May 7th, I think.
Yeah.
Great.
The week before the election stops at noon the day before the election.
Good. Well, at least we can start to notify folks now through this medium. Great. Okay. What else?
As far as the overlay district special permit, Martha, you actually had the most information on that. I didn't know if you wanted to update what the select board had said, because you actually provided them with the most information last night.
Sure, I can do that. So they did, as Leslie said, they did vote to grant the special permit. It was 4 in favor, 1 opposed. I had provided a draft for them, so they went through the draft and had 2 conditions, one of which was to one of Joe's conditions, and I might actually go over that once we get into that public hearing tonight. And the other one is about continued monitoring. So I'm going to fill in some blanks on the draft and provide that to them, and they'll get that signed and filed with the clerk.
What else you got, Leslie?
Most of everything else doesn't seem to pertain to us in particular. They were just permits and licenses, things of that nature. And welcome to our new sergeant, Mark. Oh, he has one of those names that I'm going to butcher.
I think it's Smigilski.
Yes, thank you. And welcome to him. He seems like a really good added person to our police department.
Yeah, he's actually been with us as an officer for, I think they said 15 years.
Yeah.
Being promoted to sergeant.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. Good.
They also did review the warrant last night, but they will vote on it next Tuesday because they're waiting for any changes that come out of our zoning public hearing tonight.
Okay, perfect. Is that it?
And that was a long review.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. Larry, I want to punt over to you to ZBA.
Really nothing new to report from last week.
Okay, great.
Yeah, they did finalize the decision on the 40B.
Right. Okay, and they did affirm that, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
they approved.
that was voted on. So I'm working with Lisa Mead to get that just fill in some administrative blanks and get that signed by the ZBA members.
Does that come back to us for discussion or is this the road forward?
That's it. It's really in the ZBA's hands. They'll be performing some of the role that the planning board does for projects that we permit, but you know, any reviews or other things will really be in their hands. The one thing they haven't done yet is go before the Conservation Commission. So they need to start that process.
Okay.
All right. Speaking of conservation, since the last meeting, conservation met last night. We had I think a 2.5-hour meeting. We tried to go over some bylaw proposals, and there was some public comment that the board needs to consider, and we'll be doing that, and probably coming back at a later date than would be applicable for this spring's meeting. So that's still a work in progress, but a lot of good, strong work by both the Conservation Commission as well as public participation. So that was very nice. Do you have a minute and kick off MVPC, Martha?
MVPC, we had a commissioners meeting last week, and I think they went over everything that they're doing right now. I mean, it's really an astounding amount of work that they do for their member communities. So I think I would refer everybody to their website to just kind of take a look around at some point and see what they've got going. For us specifically, we have signed the contract for the FY22 update of the assessor's maps and continuation of servicing our MyMap, and pictometry actually was done separately earlier. So.
Okay, great. Well, we landed right on 6:45, which is very timely. So we're going to be starting our public hearings. We have a new public hearing, proposed amendments of the code of for the code of the town of Newbery, Chapter 97 zoning, Article 11 administration, chapters 97-11 special permit procedures. Leslie, could you read the public hearing notice for us?
Martha, can you put that up on the screen?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Are you able to see that tonight?
It's working.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Let me see if I can make it just a tad bigger.
Perfect.
Is that big
Yep.
enough?
Yep, that's good. Town of Newbury Planning Board Public Hearing Notice. Residents of the town of Newbury and other interested persons, please note that on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 at 6:45 p.m., the Newbury Planning Board will hold a public hearing remotely via Zoom pursuant to MGL C 40A-S5 to consider proposed amendments and additions to the Code of the Town of Newbury, Chapter 97 zoning as follows. Amendments to our Article 9, Administration. I'm not good with my Roman numerals.
It's okay.
Administration 97-11.c, special permit procedures, public hearing to retitle the reformat the selection and to add provisions pertaining to granting authority decisions, criteria, and conditions of approval. The text of these proposed amendments is on file with the town clerk and in the planning office, 12 Kent Way, Suite 101, Byfield, Mass., and may be viewed on the planning board section of the town's website at https://www.townofnewbury.org/planning board/pages/proposed. The proposed amendments contact the planning office by phone at 978-465-0862, extension 312, or by email at planningboard@townofnewbury.org. The hearing will be conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. All persons interested or wishing to be heard relative to the proposed zoning amendments are invited to participate in the hearing remotely at the designated time from their computer, tablet, or smartphone at https://us.2web.zoom.us/j/83271413056, or by telephone by calling 1-929-205-6099 US and using meeting ID 832-7141-3056, or may watch the meeting live on local access cable channel 9 or at www.tnctv.org. Peter Pecos, Chair, Newbury Planning Board, published the Newburyport Daily News, March 8th and March 15th, 2021.
Wonderful. Leslie, thank you very much for reading that. And Martha, I got to say, I love the screen setup now with the screen sharing. I don't know how you did that to get everybody into the screen. That was perfect. I don't know what you did, but it's great. Okay, Martha, could you just let us know about the public hearing and a legal ad? It was published?
Sure. As Leslie just noted, it was published in the Daily News on March 8th and March 15th, 2021. There's actually a very specific set of things that need to be done per Mass General Law 48, Section 5, in terms of zoning amendments. The notice was posted in Town Hall and on the website, and it also needs to be mailed to the planning boards of the abutting towns, Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, and DHCD. So that was all done.
Wonderful, thank you. I'd like to turn this over to the Vice Chair, Larry Murphy, for our discussion and presentation tonight. Larry?
Okay, thanks, Pete. And, this is a subject that's been under discussion for a little while with the board, but I want to acknowledge that it's our town planner, Martha Taylor, who, working with town council, has really done most of the heavy lifting here. We appreciate that very much. The one obvious purpose and goal of these amendments is to give direction to the various boards and committees when they're acting as special permit granting authorities. But another equally, if not more important, benefit here is to give guidance to applicants and the general public as to what issues they might expect when they come before a special permit granting authority in Newbury. And so if we could just start with paragraph number 1, there is no substantive change here. The only change really, and I should point out, Martha, did you want to put this up?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if you wanted me to put it up.
Yeah, it might be a good idea because otherwise I'm talking in the abstract here.
Okay. Is that visible?
Yes, I can read that fine.
Could you make that a little perfect? Thank you.
Okay, and this is actually the form of town meeting warrant article that will be in the warrant. And it's follows the same format as we frequently use in bylaw amendments. And that is that any additions are in bold, such as the heading under one, procedures and filing requirements. And then anything that is being stricken is stricken through, such as public hearing, et cetera, just above that. And among other things, what we want to do is clarify and make this easier to digest for people. Now, I'm not going to bother going through and reading subsection A. There is no change here to the substance of this section. And what the section does, frankly, it simply tracks the requirements of state law. So it's, once again, there's no substantive change. And the procedure that's set out in 1A is what's required by state statute. Under B, granting authority, the only change here is just to add the sentence that's in bold and underscored, clarifying that the Zoning Board of Appeals acts as the SPGA unless some other board or commission is designated. That's not a change in law. It's just making it a little bit more prominent and easier for people to find if they're looking for that type of information. But ultimately, what you would do is go to the table of use regulations and look at the footnotes there to determine if some other board or commission were the special permit granting authority. 2 criteria. This is new, as is 3 conditions. So just to go over it quickly. Special permit shall be granted by the SPGA, again, it depends on what board, unless otherwise specified herein, only upon its written determination that the adverse effects of the proposed use will not outweigh its beneficial impacts to the town or the neighborhood in view of the particular characteristics of the site and of the proposal in relation to that site. So that's the general overarching rule. Next, it goes on, in addition to any other specific factors that may be set forth in this bylaw, the determination shall include consideration of each of the following criteria. And this is criteria that even under our existing version, I think any SPGA would be able to consider. But this imposes a requirement that the board make, that the SPGA make a finding on each of these criteria. So again, I'll just read it all quickly. Social, economic, or community needs which is served by the proposal. B, traffic flow, volume, and vehicular and pedestrian safety, including traffic related to parking and loading. Again, we're used to dealing with these types of issues all the time, but it's good to emphasize to the public that these are the types of issues that if you're applying for a special permit, you're going to have to talk about in your presentation. So adequacy of utilities and other public services, it's really self-explanatory. No, neighborhood and community character, impacts on adjacent properties, neighborhoods and zoning districts, impacts on the natural environment, and potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment, and consistency with the most recent town of Newbery master plan. So those, I think, for the most part, would understand intuitively. But once again, this is listing for the public and for applicants those issues that the board must take up and must discuss. Conditions. Special permits may be granted with such reasonable conditions, safeguards, or limitations on time or use, including performance guarantees, as the SPGA may deem necessary to serve the purposes of this bylaw, including, and it's important, but not limited to, so these are examples of the type of conditions that could be imposed, the following. Having said that these are examples, I think it's pretty comprehensive. Front, side, and rear yards greater than the minimum required by this bylaw. So, you know, an SPGA could require larger setbacks. Screening buffers or planting strips, fences, or walls, again, something that's routinely discussed in hearings on special permits. Exterior lighting, modification of the exterior appearance of the structures, limitations upon the size, number of occupants, method and time of operation for the duration of the permit or the extent of the facilities, regulation of number, location of driveways or other traffic features, and off-street parking or loading or other special features beyond the minimums required by this bylaw. Such conditions shall be imposed in writing, and the applicant may be required to post bond or other security for compliance with said conditions in an amount satisfactory to the SBCA. Again, I don't think, invite anyone, Martha in particular, to correct me, but I don't think that there's a lot new here. It's simply being restated in a format that's, I think, easier for folks to understand. And once again, repeating myself a bit, but to give, not only to give directions to the SPGA, but to give directions and insight into applicants and the general public as to the types of things the SPGA should be looking for. And with
Right,
that,
I think the only thing I might add here is that we do have bylaws, you know, in our zoning bylaw, which are specific special permits, and some of those do have their own decision criteria and conditions. So this would apply mostly to cases where, as Larry mentioned, under the table of use regulations, one of the boards is the special permit granting authority, and there is no specific bylaws for that use.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Martha.
Wonderful, Larry. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think you hit it, you know, right on the nail on the head. Concise. It gives direction more specifically to the applicant, and it helps the board to do its job. So that's great. Let me see if there are any board members that might have any questions or concerns. Larry, I don't think you have any questions or concerns. Do you?
No, I don't.
Thank you, sir. George, do you have any questions or concerns, sir?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, George. Leslie, do you have any questions or concerns?
No, I don't.
Thank you, Leslie. Woody, do you have any questions or concerns?
No, I don't.
Okay, great. Martha, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open it up for any public questions or comments. And I would invite people to use the raise hand function. And just to reinforce how to do that, you would do that on the computer by going over the participants and going to the raise hand function. And if you're calling by phone, it'd be the *9 function. All right. Do we see hands being raised? I got the waiting room.
I'm not seeing any yellow hands. I'm looking to see if anybody's physically, Robin Etheridge.
Okay. Robin, if you would mind, name, address, and then you will have the floor.
Hi, this is Glenna Etheridge. Address 6 Newman Road in Newbery. I haven't seen the changes that you proposed of the special permit business, and you went through section 2, the criteria, but you didn't go through the conditions, which looked to me like it was also a new change. I'm wondering if we could go through all of the changes rather than just the first 2 parts of it.
So what Larry discussed are all the changes that we're talking about. So those are the only components that we're changing.
The next section, which said conditions, was all bolded and underlined. Is that not new?
I believe that Larry did read through that section, but I can put it back up on the screen. If that would be
We absolutely put it back up.
Oh,
Yep.
what you just read.
Okay, Martha, let's just pop it back up just so we can go through that and see if there are any specific questions, and if need be. So the criteria Larry read through, that was number 2, and number 3, the conditions Larry also went through. So those 2.
Oh, he went through that before. I'm sorry.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Just he did it in reverse order. Okay.
Well, maybe I was a little too quick going through it, but if you have any questions regarding specific provisions there, I'd be happy to address them.
Could you leave it up for just a minute while we read it?
Sure. Let me just get it so both the new sections are on the screen. Can you see both of them, 1, 2, and 3?
Yes, thank you.
And as Larry indicated, this is to give
I'm
guidance.
sorry, that is, but yeah, okay, fine.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, Larry, as Larry indicated, this is to give guidance and direction to the applicants and to the board, because these are things that we already take into consideration, but here they're defined. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, they've muted themselves again.
Okay.
Jessica Brown has a question. Jessica, you'll need to unmute.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, sorry, I'm on an iPad, so I'm a little slow. Jessica Brown, 275 High Road. And yeah, it's great to see. This seems like a positive step forward. And I'm curious, though, about waivers. And also, does this apply to, and I may not have the terminology right, but properties that are NAR, no approval required? We happen to be abutters to a property in that category, well known to everyone. And I'm wondering if, had this zoning been in place, would many of the criteria there are certainly pertinent to that development, community character, and impact on the natural environment and so on. Would that have, would that apply to an NAR property? And what are the other conditions for waivers?
Larry, do you want to field that one?
I'll try. I think what you're referring to is an ANR, or approval not.
Oh,
required.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That's
Not
all right.
NAR.
That's okay. With that's a little bit different. What an ANR is a determination by the board on the petition of an applicant that they create. What they're doing is they're creating a new lot, but such that it does not require subdivision approval. So in other words, it has adequate frontage, it has adequate access, adequate space, adequate acreage, excuse me, is what I'm trying to say. So that's something a little bit different. What a special permit goes to is the use that you're going to put the property to. And so you can go out and create an ANR, but if you want to build on that property and put it to a use that requires a special permit, that's the point where the special permit granting authority would come in. Does that help?
It does. It just clarifies that this will have, in some ways, limited impact.
Yeah, it's only going to apply in the case of someone applying for a special permit.
Right. And then what are the conditions for waivers? And maybe Martha, you're going to
Well,
address that.
I just wanted to clarify for one thing under Mass General Law, the board actually cannot put any conditions on an approval not required plan.
Yes.
So, and that's primarily related to frontage, having adequate frontage. In terms of waivers, I don't know, Larry, do you want to address that? Or
Well, I think you'd need to look at the particular bylaw, because I understand we have special permit bylaws that apply to certain uses, like an open space OSRD, open space residential development, or wireless communications. There are a number of them. What we're proposing here are sort of the general overarching rules, but you have to go and look in those bylaws to see under what circumstances and what provisions you can actually, the board has the authority to waive something. So the information is there, but you've just got to look at the particular type of special permit that you're concerned with to determine what waivers are or are not acceptable. Or I should say, a better way to put it, what waivers the SPGA has the authority to grant. Be a better way to put it.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay,
I thank you.
great. And for both participants that have asked, thank you for participating and helping us with this process. Martha, do you see anyone else that might have a question?
I'm seeing Angelica is raising her hand physically.
Okay.
Yes.
Angelica, if you could name and address, please, and the floor will be yours.
Angelica Reynoso, 10 Old Point Road in Newbery.
Hi.
So my question is, when is this restaurant supposed to be opening up? I am literally the adjacent property.
So let me just hold on, Angelica. That's not. We're not talking about that public hearing right now. We're going to be getting to that on the agenda right
Okay.
now. What our current agenda item is we're talking about a bylaw proposal.
Okay.
We have two more things, two more public hearings. So
No
I'll
problem.
hold your comment for then. Okay.
Okay.
Beautiful. Thanks. Any other questions or concerns or comments regarding our new proposed amendments to the bylaw?
I'm not seeing any raised hands.
Okay, great. That being the case, I just want to run through the board right now to see if there are any additional questions or comments or discussion items. Larry, do you have any other comments, questions, or discussion items?
No, I don't.
Okay, George, sir, do you have any?
No.
Okay, Leslie, do you have any?
No, I don't.
Okay, and Woody, do you have any?
No, I don't.
Okay, that being the case, I'd entertain a motion to incorporate these changes and submit them for consideration.
Motion to incorporate and submit.
Second.
There's a second. Okay, discussion on the motion. Any discussion, Larry?
No.
Any discussion, George?
No.
Any discussion, Leslie?
No.
Any discussion, Woody?
No.
Very good. On the motion itself, how do you vote, Larry?
Yes.
And how do you vote, George?
Yes.
And how do you vote, Leslie?
Yes.
And how do you vote, Woody?
Yes.
And the vote, the chair also votes affirmatively. Thank you, everyone, for that vote. Martha, do you need any other information regarding this Article 11 for Chapter 97 to go on the warrant for the town annual town meeting for the
No,
27th?
so basically that was a vote to recommend that this be placed on the warrant.
Correct.
And I will just confirm that with the town administrator tomorrow.
Okay.
And that there are no changes to the proposed language that she already has in draft form. And the select board will be holding a special meeting next Tuesday on the 30th to execute the warrant. So this should be incorporated at that point.
All right, great. Martha, thank you very, very much for working on this, and board members for helping with getting this over to the finish line from our perspective. Okay, we will continue with our public hearings. So with our continuances, first on the continuation will be public hearing for a site plan review application, 2 and 8 Old Point Road, map U02, lots 154 and 150, is 154 and 154 or 50?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, we have to wait until 7:15 for this one.
Oh, okay. Well, we have 7 minutes. Let's
Once
see.
again, we have 7 minutes.
Guess what, Martha? I think we're going to be going to planning board's rules and regulations.
Okay, I'll put that up on the screen and see if we can get through that.
Okay, great.
Hold on just a sec.
Beautiful.
All right. So
We'll need to make that a little bit larger if we could.
I will do that. Hold on just a sec. How's that?
Maybe even a little bit larger if you can. Leslie, can you see that?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Beautiful. Good, good, good. You're the eyes to help us direct the conversation, Leslie. Thank you. Okay. Do you want to start this process, Martha, this conversation?
Sure. And basically, this is a draft. We've been talking for some time about establishing some rules regarding agenda items and materials to be submitted for the agenda, and also with regard to hearings that are in process and so on and so forth. So this is a first draft of those rules for discussion, and so the idea would be to go through it tonight, and if the board has amendments, we can do that, or if it votes to adopt, then that would become rules of the board.
Okay, so let's just kind of go through this, and I think everyone has seen this before because we have worked on it. So the first would be additional meetings may be called by the chair. This is a supplemental. Additional meetings may be called by the chair, scheduled as needed with proper posting of the agenda in accordance with open meeting law. Meetings to be rescheduled or canceled. Okay, I'm going to try to see what other things. Martha, is our next change to the?
So it's not a change. Actually, this is all new.
You know what? Then let me go from the top then.
Yeah. So the things that are highlighted are questions that for discussion.
Yes, yes, yes. So let's go from the top, just so I can. I'll start from the top. If you drop it down.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. And I'm going to be doing squinting, folks, here. So these are proposed rules for the Newbery Planning Board regarding agenda and deadlines for submissions of applications and materials. And this is a tool to assist with facilitation of information to the town planner and then to the board so that things can be done in a timely manner. This will prevent any material being dropped on us the day or dropped on Martha the day before or the day of a meeting with us to digest the material. It's this would allow for appropriate review and digestion of materials so that there can be an accurate discussion rather than just postponing the discussion to another hearing date. Okay, number one, the meeting schedule. The planning board shall meet regularly on the first and third Wednesdays of every month, which is what we do. Additional meetings may be called by the chair and scheduled as needed with proper posting of the agenda in accordance with the open meeting law. Meetings may be rescheduled or canceled. I'm just going to look to see for any discussion on point number one. Larry?
No.
Okay,
Very
George?
clear.
None.
Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Okay, number two is the, I'm going to try to read this, preparation of agenda for planning board meetings. The agenda for each planning board meeting shall be shall be prepared by the planning director after conferring with the chair. Agenda items suggested by other members of the board may be included on the agenda with the chair's approval. B, the agenda will close at 12 p.m. 7 calendar days before the regular bi-monthly meetings of the board, or no less than 3 days before or other meetings, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, and no changes to the agenda shall take place thereafter except as follows. Number one, any matter coming to the attention of the town planner or member of the board after the above stated closing time and considered to be an emergency matter may be included on the agenda. The chair will be notified of any such changes. And two, consideration of matters of non-emergency matters may be allowed at the discretion of the chair if permitted under the open meeting law, but may be tabled until the next regular meeting. Any concerns with that, Larry?
No.
George?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Thank you. Submission deadlines, new applications. Drafts of new applications to be filed with the planning board shall be submitted to the planning director to review for compliance with submission requirements no less than 2 weeks prior to the anticipated filing date. Applications shall be filed at regular scheduled planning board meetings. And then B, all other materials, any materials to be considered by the planning board at a regularly scheduled meeting shall be submitted to the planning director in both hard copy and electronic format no less than 7 calendar days prior to the meeting date at which the materials will be discussed. This includes revised documents for continued public hearings. Okay, any question on that, Larry?
None.
George? I couldn't hear you, George.
Oh,
No, okay, thank you. Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Okay, then from a matter of housekeeping, Martha will just need a motion to endorse these guidelines.
Yeah, basically to adopt them.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adopt these guidelines for the planning board.
I would so
So
move.
moved.
Thank you, Larry. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, George, for the second. On the motion, any discussion, Larry?
No.
Any discussion, George?
No.
Any discussion, Leslie?
No.
Any discussion, Woody?
No.
Okay, how do you vote on the motion, Larry?
Yes.
Thank you. How do you vote on the motion, George?
Yes.
Thank you. How do you vote on the motion, Leslie?
Yes.
Woody, how do you vote on the motion?
Yes.
Thank you. And the chair is also supportive of the motion. Very good, Martha. There you go. We now have guidelines.
Yeah, thank you.
We at 7:15.
Yes.
We are-
Look at that, 7 minutes. Oh, this is
Look
fantastic.
at that. Perfectly timed.
Well-oiled machine.
All right, here we go. Now, at this point in time, at 7:15, I'd like to have continuances of the public hearings. The first will be the site plan review application, 2 and 8 Old Point Road, map U02, lots 154 and, is that 154 or 153, Martha?
Hold on a sec. It's oops, I'm sorry. I had the same lot number there for both.
Okay. All right. Owner applicant, the Cottage Commercials LLC, Vincent Godin, manager, continued from March 3rd, 2021. Let's see. We're continued. So we have some revised plans and stormwater reports were submitted to the board on Monday, 3/22. Joe has not had an opportunity to review these changes and made responses to DEP and other comments. Is that correct, Martha?
Yeah, and actually it was not the stormwater report, it was a traffic memo. So it's
Okay, sorry, traffic memo, my error.
no, my error.
Okay, I apologize. At this point in time, I'd like the applicant or his representatives to provide us with any revisions. Would that be Steve doing this?
Yeah, sure. I can jump in. I'm
Thank you.
here. I think the whole design team is here along with Vincent Godin. So if you'd like, I can share my screen.
I've just
That'd be wonderful.
that.
I hope. Let's see. That's not showing up, is it? Hold on a sec. East Plan, Hancock Street, overdue, whiteboard. Why isn't this working now? Bear with me, please.
Sure thing. We appreciate technology frustration.
Yeah, show all windows. Oh, there we go. There we go. Usually I do it with 2 screens. Share. All right, here we go. Can everyone see this?
Yes, and you're probably going to have to enlarge it if possible.
Yep, sure. All right, so at the end of, let's see, last meeting, I think basically that day or the day before, we had received some comments from DEP. How are we doing? Is this
That's
looking good?
perfect.
Zoom in more.
You drop down a little bit. If you could just enhance it a touch, that might be helpful.
All right. There we go. All right. So their comments, a couple of comments, even though we were removing most of the pavement on the site, they were opposed. The DEP claimed that the new pavement for the handicap parking did not meet dune standard. Also, the permeable pavers didn't meet dune standard. So it took me some time just to find out who the reviewer was. It was Mike Abel. Tried to talk with him. I guess they're not in their offices and they cannot talk on the phone. So multiple emails. He said to coordinate via email. I probably 5 or 6 emails over a couple of weeks, if not more. No response. So what we're doing is we're just going to go to a other handicap viable surface, which be stone dust, a compacted smooth stone dust surface, which would comply with the DEP standard there. So these 3 handicap spaces here and the walkway here would be stone dust. So we made that change. Additionally, there was a gabion wall. We removed the gabion wall. And also this apron was changed to a stone dust surface. Now, another item that came up was, as we discussed at the last meeting, there were questions regarding traffic. We had submitted a traffic memo, and I think it was January 5th, but there was additional concerns that came up at the last meeting, and Martha was reaching out to, I guess, the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission to get some material. Unfortunately, I think that we finally got stuff on Saturday from them, or Martha had forwarded us to forward that information to us at that time. The Merrimack Valley Planning Commission thought it was prudent to reverse the direction of the entry and exit, which I think we have Steve Saragusa from Design Consultants Inc., the traffic engineer. As far as operationally, typically you want the entry, I think the main entry on Plum Island Boulevard due to the visibility. As far as operationally, I think I can let him speak, but I don't think we have an issue with that. So the people would come in and take a left onto Old Point and a right in here. And then they most likely, if they're leaving the island, take a a free ride out, or they'd have to cross and take a left here. The only thing at this exit, sometimes it's a little bit of an offset where you're only about 100 feet, I think, or so from this four-way. So our original feeling was it was cleaner traffic-wise, just to come in and take a left and run through and out. But we're not in opposition to, I think Martha had brought that up, and also the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission concurred with that, that they thought that would be a better suited. I guess most of it was due to any possible interaction with the cars backing out of Plum Island Grill. And also, if a car was waiting here to take a left, cars coming onto the island there's enough room for them to squeeze around and continue onto the island. So that's the other update, and to meet those concerns with Martha's concern along with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, we've reversed the direction through the property. And the other change was let's see, I flipped the drawing. Did that come through or not?
It did.
Okay. I believe
it is small.
Yeah. So the other issue was the permeable pavers. So on the outdoor seating area, we had this wood decking material here and then permeable paver in this location. And so what we've done is we've changed this to a wood decking surface to meet the DEP standards. So with that, we've fully complied with his comments. So, we don't want to get in a fight with DEP or want them to intercede, because we're very excited to get this going and the restaurant to try and be open for this summer. So we're looking to appease them, and so we basically made those changes. At the last conservation meeting, they agreed that we should sort of appease DEP's comments. They were fine with what we had proposed environmentally, especially given all the reductions of pavement and such on the property. So we don't see any, I'm sure the Concom will be fine with these changes, because they agreed to the fact that we should stay clear of any DEP intervention on this project. So those really are unless I missed something, I think those were the changes on this, the changes here between the last meeting and now. And also, I think, Vincent, maybe you can chime in regarding I think there was questions regarding the operational hours, and I think he submitted some information on that, and I'll let Vincent take over for that information.
Yeah, so Martha, I'm not sure if that was shared with everybody.
It was, yes.
Okay, perfect. So we gave some more clarity on the exact hours that we would anticipate being open throughout the year. And
would you just want to state those, Vince? Just for the...
Yes, I got to find that email myself. 1 second.
I think it was it 11 to 11? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it's going to be 11 to 11, 7 days a week. And in the off season, it during the week, it would just be 4 to 11 during the off season, during Monday through, Sunday through Friday. Or Monday through Thursday, sorry.
All right. Any other materials to submit?
Steve, I'm not sure if you wanted to have the other Steve discuss a little bit the traffic, given that that was a comment of Peter's before that we wanted to address given the numbers we had just gotten last weekend about the traffic impacts that we don't believe will occur.
Yeah, sure. Steve, you want to jump in?
Sure. Good evening. So my name is Steve Saragusa, as Steve Sawyer was saying. I'm the transportation manager at DCI. So this is, the third revision that we've done second revision, third submission of this report that we've done. And what we did was we basically just took the MVPC numbers that were forwarded over to us. So you've all seen the trip generation calculations that we did and the numbers that we had, but we compared it to the numbers at that intersection in terms of number of vehicles during the weekday PM peak hour and the Saturday midday peak hour, which is, as Vince, was saying, was in his email, was going to be when, the restaurant would expect it to be the busiest, as would traffic, going to the beach, likely. And so what it came out to was it's going to be, approximately less than 3% of the existing traffic that's out there now is what this restaurant we're expecting to generate in terms of vehicles. So expecting it to generate about 23 trips, new vehicle trips during the weekday PM peak hour, and 29 new vehicle trips during Saturday. So that's less than 3% of what's currently out there. And given the movements, onto the site, which is going to be now a right turn on and likely a right turn off, as Steve Sawyer was saying earlier, it should alleviate a lot of the conflicts at the intersection of people who would want to turn into the site if it was reversed, which is how we had it originally. So I think now with the reversed flow of traffic on site, and now comparing it to the data that's out there now, we really don't think that it's going to have too big of an impact, in terms of delay or safety for anybody that's in that area.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I'd like to ask any board members if they have any questions or comments at this time to what the new material is or updated. So I'm going to go down the board list. Larry, do you have any questions or comments, sir?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously we want to see the peer review, but right now I don't have anything.
Okay. George, do you have any questions or comments, sir?
Yes, just one. I may have missed it earlier. What is the composition of the wood decking?
As far as the type of wood that's going to be used?
Yes.
I'm not an expert on that field of what's getting planned. I thought that was in the plan.
Mike, do you have any info on that? I didn't mean to pin you down on that.
No, it's a good, fair question. I believe it was just going to be pressure treated board, but I'm not sure of what exact type of wood. I don't know if I see Mike, our landscape architect, is on there. He may have a better idea of what's standard for that type of decking.
Yeah, I think some either pressure treated or some type of red cedar or some type of hardwood that would just be a durable material to last a long time.
Yes, it would be wood though, and not a composite material.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Sticking with the wood is good. No splinters, right?
That's the goal.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Leslie, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns at this point in time?
A little bit more of as far as the traffic flow is concerned, it was described as turning right and then turning right. If you're coming off of the bridge and getting onto the island and wanting to get onto the site property, you're going to have to turn left, then right. And then when you leave, you have the option of turning left or right. I'm just wondering how the left is going to be coming off the bridge. That's going to be, it could be a bottleneck type of, because that is a heavy trafficked intersection.
Martha may be able to speak a little bit to this, but I think the original idea of it changing from being a left on Plum Island Boulevard straight into the site versus further back at the intersection was that the intersection is much wider and can allow for a car that is waiting to make a left to still allow a car to drive by, as opposed to if it was further down where the road is narrower, it would potentially create more congestion and backup. And I don't know if that was your thought, Martha, but that was what I was thinking was the reasoning.
Yeah, that was certainly part of it, and not crossing traffic right at the point where things do narrow down. And you've got the grill potentially backing out, people trying to come off the island where it's narrow.
The reservation coming right there next to the Plum Island Grill.
And then if people are coming out onto Plum Island Boulevard, assuming that, some fair percentage are going back off island, then it's an easy right-hand turn and they just go out. So we did run that by the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, and they felt that, given their knowledge of that area, they felt that would be a better traffic flow. And it also alleviates some of the issue that we were talking about last time of cars that were parked at the end of the parking lot closest to Plum Island Boulevard.
Trying to maneuver out. Yeah.
And,
yes, I forgot that.
Into the right of way.
Yeah, with the thought that might be backing partially into the road. I remember that.
Right.
Okay, great.
Hey, thank you, Leslie. Woody, sir, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I do not.
Okay, great, thanks. Just my comments. I think your acceptance of Martha's suggestion and MVPC's traffic authority on modifying the in and out is beneficial and probably makes the most sense to the community overall. I do have a question about DEP and the stone dust, and Steve, I'll probably direct this towards you. As you know, stone dust is great in dry weather conditions, but come springtime, it's probably going to be pretty muddy there. And I don't know if you have a way to address that, or if that's going to impact anything with regards to handicapped access for those couple months.
Actually, it's stone dust. With the gravel base and compacted stone dust, it's fine. It doesn't rot. It doesn't get soft. I don't know if you've ever been up to Big A or Mount Agamentum. They have a handicap. The whole handicapped circulation trail around the top of the old ski area there, and it holds up fine. There will be some maintenance. There is going to have to be some maintenance to the driveway, to the parking spaces, for the fact that they'll have to make sure it's smooth and compacted. The walking area will be. I don't think it will require much maintenance at all. But I had a stone in Newbery. I had a stone dust driveway for many years, and winter, spring, it basically compacted. It compacted like concrete. It was pretty durable, or very durable. The only hassle it is if you're wearing sneakers, you do track it. It does track, and if you have a wood floor, it will scratch the wood floor.
Right. Very good. Very good. Okay. Do you have any last items, Martha, with regards to any questions or concerns?
I had one question, actually. In looking at the plan and the traffic and the parking, you're going to have cars that are pulling into parking spaces that are directly facing residences, either immediately or across McLeod Avenue. And I know you've got some fencing there. Do you think that's going to be adequate for screening the glare of headlights from those residences?
Our plan on that is to add some landscaping that's either going to be, depending on if there's room on one side or the other, that's either going to be on the side of the residences, or since those are residences that we own, or in front of the fencing. it's going to be a little bit of trial by error. I mean, the one that's largely impacted is actually the one that Jeff, my business partner, lives in. So he gets to be the guinea pig on that side of it. But yes, we plan on adding in as needed landscaping to make sure that it creates that buffer from light penetrating.
Yeah, I see some now, but it doesn't go all the way across. So, and just, you may not own these forever, so it could be other people who will be.
100%.
Okay, thank you, Martha. Appreciate it. Okay, that being the case, I'd like to allow the opportunity to open a public hearing. As we start that process, Martha, if you want to indicate any names of emails or letters you've received since 3/3.
The only one we've received is an email from Susan Mitchell, which I forwarded to the board members that came in on the 16th.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then at this point in time, I'd like to open it up for any public comments. So we're looking for new public comment, any material or information that has not already been shared with the board. So new comments. So I would ask you to identify name and address. And Martha, I'll let you kind of direct us here.
So the one hand I see raised right now is Jeremiah Murphy. And please unmute yourself.
And Jeremiah, after you unmute yourself, your name and address, please, sir.
Okay. Jeremiah Murphy, 81 Southern Boulevard. My family also owns property at the end of Old Point Road. So there's a direct concern about this project. I think the traffic issue, really needs to be addressed. A traffic study should be completed during peak season, so actual data is used, and also looked at from a weather standpoint that we're seeing these peak times. The big problem with this intersection, and no matter which way the direction of traffic is going into this property, is those entrances are in very close proximity to the four-way intersection. That becomes very busy with traffic from the beach traffic, also going to the wildlife refuge. And I think without any improvements to this intersection, you have two cars that stop that want to take that left into the lot, that's going to back up traffic right at the intersection. It's going to present a lot of problems. I think anytime you're going to put this amount. Other concerns is still the 5 porta potties for the amount of people that will be frequenting this restaurant. And, in general, I'd just like to say, this wasn't the original proposal that, was presented to people. And so this is significantly different. And I really wonder if there's really broad support for this type of restaurant going in. And on the decking, I'm surprised they're not going with more of a synthetic decking rather than, a cheaper wooden version. So those are my comments at this time. Thank you.
Jeremiah, thank you very much for your comment and for your participation tonight. The board appreciates that.
The next hand I see raised is Steve Mangin.
Steve Mangin, how are you, Steve? Your name and address, please. You need to unmute yourself, Steve. Thanks.
I think I'm unmuted.
You are now.
Thank you. This is Steve Mangin on 14th Street, Plum Island. I'm hoping that what I raise is regarded new by the board, but there's going to be some overlap with previous comments, I confess. As Jeremiah alluded to, the plan is changing a little bit through time as we try to adjust to various pieces of input that the applicants have given. But I find myself saying, gee, how close is this to what the ZBA approved and the Concon approved? At some point, the plans need to be harmonized. And I'm a little bit hesitant to say, I'm all for this, or for that matter, I'm against it, whatever, given that there seem to be separate plans being put on the table. And I think at the end of the day, we need to have one set of plans that the various boards and commissions are going to approve or have approved. And I think it's premature to approve anything until we know this is the set of plans which the ZBA, the Concon, and the Planning Board are signing off on. And indeed, the Board of Selectmen may be weighing in when they're making some decisions. So I think we need to see the same document. Regarding hours of operation, I think I now heard, 11 to 11 being a proposal being put on the table. And as a person who lives within sound distance of that area, I'm a little bit concerned about late night operation, particularly for outdoor dining. It's one thing to have the indoor restaurant open till 11 o'clock. It's a whole nother concern if you're going to have outdoor dining at 11 o'clock in terms of the way noise carries. And in the still of the night might be an appropriate way to describe typical conditions down here at night. It is still, except for the sound of cars as they go over the bridge and the metal grating. So I can't support being open to 11 for outdoor dining. And as I recall, the issue of any alcohol license, which may be pursued by the applicants, is something that the Board of Selectmen would be in charge of approving. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
So the Board of Selectmen will be involved in it, but Larry, correct me, but it would be the Liquor Commission that would be directing that. Is that correct?
Well, the Board of Selectmen would first take it up and determine if, if they were going to issue the license and any conditions of operation that they might impose on that. And then it would go to the ABCC where they would review it. And with outdoor dining, what they're going to be very concerned about is going to be security, line of sight security, in the sense that the staff is able to observe the areas where liquor is being consumed, and also barriers to keep unauthorized people from getting access to it. So that's going to go through a pretty comprehensive review.
So that will be on the Board of Selectmen. That's not within our wheelhouse.
Yeah, and I wouldn't try to anticipate what they might do. I mean, we don't want to put the applicant in a position where they have to, because the selectmen of the ABCC make some change, that they're going to have to come back and see us again for a modification.
Steve, just to address your first comment.
Well, just to say, certainly that'd be a concern, and perhaps that's something the planning board could note when you make a determination on the project. I remember the good old days where if you went to a bar with your 12-year-old kid, they had to go in the back room. They couldn't be in the bar itself. And if the bar is going to be the great outdoors, I'm not sure how that would apply to begin with. So that's the hours of operation. I too share the concerns that Jeremiah raised about the traffic. I think at the end of the day, a site-specific study is what is warranted. Certainly this past weekend, the day of spring, there was a backup that extended from the intersection of the Plum Island Boulevard and Northern Boulevard that went down to Old Point Road. And I can only see that being an additional issue as the restaurant takes shape. And did I understand that the applicant said that on the weekend trips, it'd be 29, an increase of 29 per day or 29 per hour? And that's a question.
Steve, could you answer? I believe that is the peak trips.
Yes. So this is Steve Saragusa at DCI. Yeah, that is the peak hour. That is not all day Saturday. That is just the peak midday hour.
Okay. Thank you. And again, I see a lot of traffic at that intersection because I'm often at the Plum Island Center admiring the view. And let's see. One other question, I think, to the applicant goes to parking. Is it your intention that parking will be available at the restaurant facility only when the restaurant is open and not during non-business hours? I think it should not be open for parking unless the restaurant's open and the parking is available for frequenters of the restaurant. So that's my comment, I guess, to the planning board. But I welcome any comments from you all.
Thank you, Steve. I'll try to hit two things that you said. Just so you're aware, the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board have the same plans, and that's what we're working on. Even though they're on separate tracks, they're the same plan. So that concern that you indicated. And we did, Martha did reach out. We just wanted to get a feel for what the hours of operation were for the already existing businesses, the Plum Island Grill and the Beachcomber. And Martha, I don't have that information in front of me, but I don't know if you could pull it up or if you have it handy.
Yeah, just a sec.
Because we did want to check, Steve, just to see if there was going to be consistency here.
Thank you.
So, bear with me for a second.
I think I do remember 11 to 11.
Yeah, it was essentially 11 to 11. I think for both the Plum Island Grill and the Beachcomber. I think the Beachcomber might actually be until 11:30. And I thought I had it with this packet here, and I don't seem to.
Well, if I may note, the Beachcomber and the Plum Island Grill do not do outdoor dining. So in that sense, it's not an apple-to-apple comparison.
Yeah, I think that might be changing, Steve. I think the Beachcomber might be going outdoors. So we'll see.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have the email that you forwarded to me earlier.
Okay.
And Plum Island Grill, Monday through Saturday is 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. To 11 p.m. And then the Beachcomber, Sunday to Saturday, 11:30 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. Now, that's off their liquor licenses.
Right.
So, I mean, if we were to authorize service on certain hours, I think it would, well, it may be a better question for town council, but I think it would be within the selectmen's discretion to further limit the service of alcohol if they felt it was inappropriate, to go to 11.
Thank you, Steve. Are those all your questions?
I believe so. Let me note, though, that if these hours of operation are till 11 o'clock or 11:30, again, I would strongly urge the board to recommend to the selectmen that outdoor alcohol consumption not be allowed till 11:30 at night. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Steve. Leslie,
I could address one more of Steve's questions because I just feel like he should have the answer on the parking situation. What we got zoning approval for was a restaurant. If we wanted to ever do anything beyond that, which would include beach parking or other commercial parking, we would actually have to go back to the ZBA. We'd have to get a change of use, and it would be an entire process for that. So that is not something that we are approved for or plan on doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie, did you want to have a question or a comment?
Yeah, I have a little comment, I have a question and a comment. Is there going to be a plan for any like outdoor entertainment, music-wise or anything of that nature? I know that the Beachcomber they do a 4 to 7 for music on Sunday because they are trying to keep in tune with the neighborhood as far as noise is concerned. I'm not sure exactly what the Plum Island Grill has, but if I see what Steve Manchin is saying as far as noise is concerned. But if there was, if you grant a restaurant that serves alcoholic beverages a license to serve till 11:30. I think that's across the board as far as my experience is concerned. And the way I understand too is what Vincent said is much of the indoor dining is going to be for more of a handicap facility. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
There will be handicap seating outside as well as inside. The inside is where the handicap restrooms are going to be. But the indoor is going to be just more for off season or, bad weather when people can't be outside.
And
or
are you
on busy days.
presuming any kind of live entertainment of that nature?
We are planning a limited amount of music. You had brought up the Plum Island Grill. They have a steel drum band out there on Sundays, and I've seen other.
Yeah, on the backside
Alex,
they have, yeah.
they've had bands in the back porch area, but we would limit that to special events during the day only. And
Yeah, and like I said, the Beachcomber, they cut their live entertainment off at 7:00.
correct. Yeah, no, we would not plan on having that run through the evening.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Leslie,
Mhm.
thank you.
Lynn
yes.
Petty had her hand up next, but if I may first, I believe that any entertainment is something that will probably have to go before the select board. And that's, I know that for the Beachcomber, they went through the select board to get approvals for the entertainment that they have.
You're right. Georgie Porches is going through it right now.
Right. So anyway,
Thank you for that clarification, Martha. Okay,
Lynn Petty had her hand up next.
okay. Lynn Petty, name and address, please.
Lynn Petty, 11 Basin Street. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that, I guess what's being proposed is a restaurant, outdoor, which is with the times, which is what we want, which we're on a beach. And when you have a new venue, we're going to have increased traffic. I mean, it's just the way it is. And I mean, do we all want to continue to look at this gas station on the corner, or do we want to bring a well thought out plan to this island? It's been meeting after meeting after meeting after I just keep seeing and hearing the same issues coming up. And has anybody driven through Newburyport? It's beautiful. We've got lots of restaurants, there's lots of stores, and we're stuck in traffic. And it's just part of it. And, to bring, again, a very well thought out outdoor plan that has very lighting that's been thought of, and landscaping that's been thought of, menus that's been thought of, outdoor spaces, which we're all after right now. Every restaurant is doing outdoor spaces. They're talking about, entertainment, how wonderful for our island or our town to have more musical entertainment working within the hours. It makes everybody happy. Of course, it's going to be noisier. It's a venue. It's a restaurant. So I don't know. I just think that we need to think of this as something new and something positive for our islanders and visitors to enjoy this spring, this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate your comments and participating tonight for the board. Thank you. Martha?
Next is Sheila Christensen.
Sheila, name and address, please.
Hi, greetings all. I am Sheila Christensen, 8R Old Point Road. And Lynn, I appreciate your wonderful comments because I also hold them as true. And I just want to say that I have been a Plum Island resident, a Newbery resident, and a Newburyport resident for the last 41 years. And I've been coming to Plum Island since I was 5 years old. And I am asking everyone to open their minds up to a common sense approach, especially to traffic. I walk here, I ride my bike here. I know the island. I've gone to the St. James Chapel here that's had traffic come in lines and leave in lines. The traffic on Plum Island goes to the refuge and to the beach. That's where it goes. Anyone that lives here knows it comes in droves to the refuge. The line.
Oh, Sheila, we just lost you for a second there.
Okay, bad connectivity on Plum Island.
There you go.
So I really think that the traffic, I witnessed it. I've seen it for 41 years. Is it the big draw on Plum Island traffic is to the refuge and to the beach, not to this little stop here, and a restaurant will open up. Nobody comes to restaurants all in one big choo-choo train. They come in increments. And I think that that's important. I think common sense, like an eyesore is going to be made beautiful. The island should have a beautiful place for families to come and eat and be outside. And I think that we shouldn't be caught up in technicalities that take away to a common sense approach.
All right. Thank you very much, Sheila. We appreciate your comments and your helping the board with information and support. Thank you. Angelica, did you have your hand up? Were you raising your hand?
Yes.
Okay. Name and address, please. Thanks very much.
Angelica Reynoso, 10 Old Point Road. My concern is how many parking spaces is this restaurant to have?
Sure. Steve, would you want to answer that question? Steve, you want to mute yourself. Steve Sawyer?
Mute. There we go. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 54. Is that right?
Correct. I believe it's 54 spaces.
So with that being said, and the proposal of opening this restaurant come spring or summer, I live right next to the restaurant. There's no barrier. There's no fence that's protecting my two younger children from 50 plus cars going through the yard and into the back. Is there a barrier that's going to be placed onto that's separating this yard into that access road?
I think the landscape arc, yeah, so I believe we have a 6-foot solid fence. Is that correct, Mike?
Yes, this is Mike Rettmeyer, landscape architect at Michael D'Angelo Landscape Architecture. We do have a 6-foot privacy fence along that side of the property.
Okay. And when is that going to be put up? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of construction. There's going to be a lot of traffic trying to get this operational. So when is that fence going to go up, just to ensure that there's a safety measure for my children?
That is one of the first things that will get put up, and if before that gets put up, there would be construction fencing that would get put up before we did any sort of construction to make sure that people can't wander onto a construction site.
Yeah, because that was my biggest worry, to be honest with you guys. You know, it's this road. It's a little scary when you have Amazon drivers, UPS drivers are now using that access road to get to the back. And there's been times where my kids are playing and they have to come to a complete stop because there's a truck driving right through it. You know what I mean? So that was my concern about this.
All right, wonderful. Were your questions or concerns answered?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. The board appreciates your participation and being here tonight. Thank you very much. Who else do we have, Martha?
I see somebody identified as the Boondock Sinners.
Uh-oh, we're gonna definitely need a name and address.
Yes.
Go with that handle.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't think to change that handle before I joined the Zoom meeting. My name is Paul Duffy, and I live at 12R Old Point Road. The Boondock Sinners is the name of an acoustic duo. You're talking about entertainment. There's my shameless plug. But I'm here as a resident of Plum Island, not as an entertainer. I've lived here for a little over 2.5 years, and I've been at this address for a little over 2 years. And while I can appreciate Angelica's concerns, I also have, I understand the egress here. I deal with it every day, and I deal with the delivery trucks and the mail, and the parking is, while it's somewhat of a concern to me, I am more concerned with the image that I see of Plum Island when I drive onto the island, and the thought of a well-planned restaurant and facility that's eye-pleasing to people coming onto Plum Island. It appeals to me in that aesthetic sense, and also part of the allure of Plum Island to me was the musical community here. That's one of the reasons I enjoy it here. And with the Plum Fest that's occurred the past several years, not able to occur because of COVID, I just feel like something else that would help breathe a little bit of culture and life into Plum Island is going to go a long way into establishing a reputation as a fun place, perhaps an artsy place, a desirable place. And I know there are concerns, and I don't know an awful lot about the logistics. I did watch the first Zoom meeting about this after it aired, and I learned a little bit more about the development. And I just think they've laid out a pretty nice plan, and I think it would be a boon to the island.
All right. Thank you, Paul. The board appreciates your comments and your participation tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Martha, do you see any other hands?
I don't see any more yellow hands. I'm just scanning to see if anybody's physically raising one. I don't. Let me just check the second page.
I would like to ask a question through the chairman, please.
Go right ahead, George Morse.
Okay, it's a practical question about parking and how you control who comes into the restaurant and how you control somebody who might be inclined to go in there to park and walk up to the beach. Or even come in and have a beer at your bar and then walk up to the beach. Has anything been developed yet, or is that still in the
Yes,
thinking?
we've been thinking about that because obviously, I mean, we have a commercial parking lot at the store that we have on the island, and so we deal with beach parking, and we can see how crazy it can get at sometimes when every other beach gets full, and then all of a sudden 300 cars decide to show up on Plum Island at the same time trying to find a spot. Our initial thought was at least what I have witnessed the last 5 years doing the commercial parking is that usually the busiest time is somewhere between 9:30 and 11 is when that big rush will happen. So our thought was going to maybe put some kind of a nautical rope across the parking lot during hours of non-operation to dissuade people from being able to park and run. I have a feeling that we may have to utilize towing at some point, just given that that's what happens all over the island with people parking. But our initial plan is, at least while we're not open, to have some sort of barrier to stop people from being able to park in the lot.
Okay, I guess my concern was during open hours. And would you have someone at the gate or someone at each end to say, here's a stub, here's a ticket, have that stamped in the restaurant when you come out, and somehow control it that way?
Our initial thought was that there's going to be a hostess right at the entrance, which is going to be right, who will have visibility of the parking lot. And so that will likely be their responsibility to keep an eye out on the restaurant to make sure as people leave that they aren't wandering off without getting in their vehicles. And we have thought of the idea of providing stubs as well, so that we can every now and again walk it and make sure that the cars that are there are people that have actually entered the restaurant as well.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Well, George, I think you've started the opportunity for the board to ask any other questions or comments or concerns. So, Larry, sir, do you have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Not at this time.
Great. Leslie, do you have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
I do not.
Woody, do you have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
No, I do not.
Okay. So I just want to kind of summarize from our last meeting. We've had a change in the traffic flow to the site. The traffic now will be coming into from Old Point and then exiting to the boulevard, which is kind of the direction that was discussed and has been modified to. The hours of operation we've talked about, and I think as Vice Chair has indicated, it'll probably be set by the hours of operation on the liquor license, and that'll be under another board's purview. I didn't know if there are any other summarizing issues of information that we need to discuss. Martha, do you have any?
Well, I just think noting the change in materials based on DEP's comments.
Okay. Yep.
And I think we will want to get some feedback from Joe as to, whether he feels there's any impact on any of stormwater management or anything like that. And Steve, I don't know if that's anything that you want to address now in anticipation.
Yeah. So basically we're actually increasing the permeability of the surface. So if anything, the stormwater will be reduced. We worked very, very hard to get Joe's full clear peer review at the last meeting because we were very anxious to get things rolling. So in regards to stormwater, the changing to the stone dust surface is insignificant, and if anything, it reduces the stormwater from the property.
Thank you, Steve. So I'm just going to run down the board to see if there are any other concerns. Otherwise, I think I'm going to suggest that we review the criteria. Larry, any other concerns, sir?
Oh, just to clarify one point, Pete. I wasn't suggesting that we ought not to provide some hours of operation in our decision.
Yes.
My point was that if the selectmen feel that it's inappropriate to serve alcohol beyond a certain hour, then they could reduce the alcohol service time.
Yep. Thank you for the clarification, because you're right. You're right on that money. Thank you, sir. George, any other comments, questions, concerns?
No other comments.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Leslie?
Quick clarification on hours of operation. Hours of operation can be just open to close, but what time does the kitchen close?
Right now, we're anticipating that the kitchen would stop serving at 10 o'clock with last call on days where it's open till 11, last call being 30 minutes before close. We're not anticipating that this drags on, till 11, and then people stay beyond when they should. So that's the anticipation for
Great,
kitchen and last call.
Thank you.
And Woody, sir, did you have anything else?
Just more of a clarification, but it is a kind of a question too. At the residence at 8R, did the reversal in, I forget from our site walk, did the reversal in direction to get in and out of here affect the residents at 8R, or are they using McLeod Drive Avenue?
Yeah, they're only going to be using McLeod. So the reversal isn't part of the drive they were going to use either way in either direction. They're going to come in on McLeod, and then they're going to go out on McLeod.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that being,
I have one more question about the parking, if it's okay. Since you've changed the direction of entrance, are you going to change the way that the parking is set up from, instead of a straight line, to an angle, to make it a little bit easier for the patrons to be able to, when they back out of their parking space, to make it easier for them to finagle through the driveway?
So
I know that probably will cut down the number of spaces that you have, but would it make it easier for the patrons to get in and out of their parking spaces, considering?
Steve can probably confirm this, but the width of the drive aisle that's being proposed for a one-way traffic is at or above the required amount to give ample room for vehicles to be able to turn into a 90-degree spot, which is what we have proposed.
Kind of the same angle as, say, like a grocery store parking lot type of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's the same arrangement. It's 90-degree parking. It's the most efficient way to go as far as, and we need the spaces, and we provided ample aisle from the back and pull forward.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
all right. Okay. I think we've probably had a good discussion. So I think it'd be appropriate, Martha, if we could, to pop up our site plan review decision criteria, just so that the board can go through those to see if there are any concerns.
All right, are you able to see those? I will make it bigger.
Magnify, yes. Perfect.
Oh, yeah. Yay.
So,
I'll just move this over a little bit.
so
Over to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
decision criteria, and these are the criteria that we that this board uses for site plan review. Some of these components will be applicable, some will not. And I'm just going to read them. This is criteria. The planning board shall approve an application for a site plan review, which is what we're talking about here, if it finds the applicant has submitted sufficient information from which it can determine that the proposed project will A, minimize the volume of cut and fill, which doesn't involve here. B, number two, the number of trees removed caliper 6 inches or larger. This does not, it's not an involvement here. 3, the area of wetland vegetation displaced. Again, this does not apply here. 4, soil erosion. Again, this does not apply. 5, the threat of the air or water pollution. I don't think that really applies. And 6, traffic congestion, which would be a point of discussion, which we have been having. With regards to 6, A1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I don't think that those are concerns of the board. I do want to touch on number 6 to see if there are any concerns raised by board members, not to articulate. Larry, on traffic congestion, where are you, sir?
No, I mean, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. George, on traffic congestion, where are you, sir?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, on traffic congestion?
No comment.
Thank you. Woody, traffic congestion?
No comment.
Okay, thank you. I think the concerns that have been addressed throughout conversation from my perspective. B, avoid removal of existing stone walls or where removal is required, minimize length and removal. I don't think this applies with this application. C, provide adequate stormwater management and other utilities consistent with the requirements of Newbery's stormwater bylaw and planning board subdivision rules and regulations. This would apply. Larry, do you have any concerns with regards to C?
No.
Thank you. George, do you have any concerns with regards to C?
I do not.
Thank you. Leslie, do you have any concerns with regards to C?
No.
Great. Woody, do you have any concerns with regards to C?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Woody. And the chair is also comfortable with our discussion at this point in time. With regards to D, maximize the safety of pedestrians and vehicles both on the site and entering onto and egressing from it. Larry, how do you feel about this?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's really what we've been discussing at some length here. And I would point out again that our peer reviewer is going to look at the traffic information. We yet to hear back from him.
Okay, thank you. George?
None.
Thank you. Leslie?
No.
Okay, Woody?
The reversal of the direction of traffic on the site, I think helps. But otherwise, we'll wait for peer review on the traffic report in the, otherwise, I have no other comment.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have the same comments that Larry and Woody have articulated. With regards to E, provide adequate access to each structure for fire and emergency service equipment. Do you have any concerns with regards to this, Larry?
No, I believe fire has weighed in and they haven't identified any issues.
Great, thank you, sir. George?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, sir. Leslie?
No concerns.
Very good. Woody?
No concerns. No.
Thank you. And I would also echo what co-chair has said, that the fire has reviewed this and is comfortable with it. F, minimize obstruction of scenic views from publicly accessible locations. Larry, do you have any concerns with F?
No.
Thank you. George, do you have any concerns with F?
No.
Thank you. Leslie, do you have any concerns with F?
None.
Thank you. Woody, do you have any concerns with F?
No, I do not.
Thank you. The chair does not have any concerns either. G, minimize visual intrusions by controlling the visibility of parking, storage, and other outdoor services viewed from public way or premises residentially used or zoned. Larry, as proposed, do you have any concerns?
No.
Thank you, sir. George, do you have any concerns as proposed?
No.
Thank you. Leslie, do you have any concerns as proposed?
No.
Great. Woody, do you have any concerns as proposed?
No, I do not.
Great, thank you. The chair does not either. H, minimize intrusion of glare from headlights and site lighting on surrounding properties. As has been proposed, Larry, do you have any concerns?
Well, I'm not sure I quite understand what site barriers are being proposed, so that's something we might need a little more discussion.
Okay. Let me just make a note. George, do you have any concerns with regards to H?
All I would say is that there has been a question raised about glare from headlights and site lighting on surrounding property. So I think that's something that can be addressed either through fencing or berming, whatever else is necessary.
Okay, so through conditions. Would that be your thought?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, on H.
I agree both with Larry and George on that. I think it just needs a little more tweaking.
Okay. Woody?
The only place I really see the intrusion is on the, when you pull into the spaces, and they do own the houses on the other side of McLeod, so something needs to be addressed there in case they ever do sell those, but otherwise, no, I don't.
Okay, so for note, Martha, it sounds like H, we might have to have some sort of concern with regards to conditions or designing something like that in our decision.
Right.
Okay, I, minimize unreasonable departure from the character, materials, and scale of buildings in the vicinity as viewed from public ways and places. Larry, do you have any concerns with I?
No.
Thank you, sir. George, do you have any concerns with I?
No.
Thank you. Thank you, George. Leslie, do you have any concerns with I?
No.
Thank you. Woody, do you have any concerns with I?
No, I do not.
Thank you, Woody. The chair does not either. Moving on to J, prevent contamination of groundwater from any source. Any concerns with this, Larry?
No.
Very good. George, any concerns with this?
No.
Okay, very good. Leslie, any concerns with this?
No.
Okay, very good. Woody, any concerns with this?
No, I do. No.
Very good. The chair does not either. We might have to move this up a little bit, Martha. Okay, thank you very much. Let me find where my eyes are now. Okay, K, enhance the appearance of the property to the greatest degree possible by means of landscaping and other site amenities. Any concerns with regards to this, Larry?
No.
Very good. George, any concerns with regards to this?
Not at all.
Very good. With K, any concerns with regards to this, Leslie?
No.
Very good. And Woody, as proposed, any concerns with regards to K?
No, I do not. No.
Thank you. The chair is also does not have any objections to K or any concerns with regards to that. L, minimize impacts of the use on adjacent properties through regulation of hours of operation, deliveries, noise, rubbish removal, and on-site storage. Larry, any concerns with regards to this?
No, I mean, we're going to have to make a decision on the hours of operation, certainly, but I think, again, the selectmen through their function can put any limits on alcohol service. And I believe someone pointed out earlier that any outdoor entertainment is going to require a permit from the selectmen. So that's a long way of saying, no, I don't have any issues.
Okay. I'm sorry, Leslie, any concerns with L? Oh, no, I'm sorry, George, any concerns with L?
I agree with Larry.
Okay. Do you think there's any need for anything in conditions? I should have asked that to you, Larry, as well.
No, I think Larry said his answer was truly a no, and mine is too.
Okay, thank you.
Making comments.
Okay, great. Leslie, any concerns with L?
The only concern or question I may have on L is noise for rubbish removal, because a lot of times rubbish removal could be at like 7:30 in the morning. So that would be my only thing, just to kind of lock down on a time frame where they come in and actually do the removal.
Okay.
Not to disrupt the neighbors.
So you're thinking not like on weekends or something like that?
Well, yeah, it's just, you know, those trucks that come in and pick up the big dumpsters and put them into the back of the trucks can be very loud. So just to play nice with the neighbors, if it could be a little bit later, just maybe prior to opening.
Okay, Appreciate that.
I could just point out there's currently a dumpster that's been on site there for a number of years. Normally they come on Wednesday mornings, just to give everybody a sense of what their normal timing is right now.
Great. Okay. Thanks. Woody, your concerns with regards to L?
No, I don't have any concerns.
Okay. I'll just kind of I'll stick around with regards to the comments that Leslie made, and I don't know, Martha, if that might be something we might want to consider. Some language. I haven't gotten that far yet, but let's continue on with regards to. I'm wanting to move the cursor, Martha. It's so funny when you're looking at something on your computer and you my fingers were on the mouse moving and it wasn't going anywhere. Okay, we're almost through here, folks. M, ensure compliance with the provisions of Newbery's zoning bylaws, including parking and signage, notwithstanding the above regulation, the use of and structures are referred to in GL 40A. Exemption from zoning shall be limited to the extent allowed under the said section of the general laws. Any concerns with regards to M, Sir Larry?
No.
Thank you. George?
No.
Thank you. Leslie?
No.
Thank you. Woody?
No, I do not.
Okay, and the chair does not either. Okay, so I think we have had the opportunity to review our site plan decisions. We have kind of a direction to go in that. I don't know if the applicant wants to say anything further to button it up, or if we've had enough discussion thus far. You good, Vincent?
Actually, so as far as the process here, I guess as far as the peer review, I know Joe didn't have any issues with our traffic the last go around, and really there's insignificant changes regarding the traffic. I'm just wondering, hoping to sort of get this to move along. We've worked so hard to get a full compliance letter with Joe.
Yep, I understand your message, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, beautiful. So, folks, are we to the point where we would like to draft, have Martha start a draft for a board decision regarding these things and our criteria after we have a little bit of insight from Joe, and Joe's insight could come in the interim. Are we to that point? Larry?
Yeah, if as long as Martha's comfortable with it, I think we can move ahead.
Okay, George?
Yes.
Okay, Leslie?
Yes.
Woody?
Yes.
Okay, Martha, do you have enough insight from the board to start a draft?
Yeah, no, I think from this input and, I've noted a few things that might be conditions which we can, if the hearing remains open, can be discussed with the applicant. And assuming we get input from Joe.
Okay.
In the meantime, if there's anything that seems to require condition or further discussion, that could be done as part of the process.
Okay, good. Looks like we have direction for a decision then to be drafted by Martha for us to take a look at, which would probably happen at our next meeting. Martha, just let me take a look to see if we can take a look at our schedule.
So let me.
Technology will work. Yes, look at that. That's looking like a thinner schedule, Martha. Am I imagining that?
A few things. They're beginning to get checked off the list.
All right. So where are we?
So we are here. So on the April 7th, we've got 15 Coleman Road, 217, 221 High Road. Continuances on the 21st, we've got 105 High Road, 84 Boston Road, and that will be review of a decision.
Okay. So would it make sense to put this in on April 21st? Larry, you'd be driving the bus that day.
Yeah, if it gives Martha enough time.
Martha, does that give you enough time?
It should, yeah.
And that'll give enough time for Joe to get his comments back too and hammer out any other concerns, I think.
Right, and those, if it's acceptable, those could be discussed with the applicant.
Okay.
In the meantime.
Okay. Wow.
Could I ask a quick question there?
You can, but
Sorry to interrupt. I was just curious if it's going to be the 21st. Is it possible to start doing some site work ahead of time?
I would defer to Martha, but Martha, would that answer be at the risk of the applicant?
I would think it probably would be at risk.
I'm comfortable with that. I wouldn't want to start doing anything without being allowed to. We were planning on starting demo on the two structures in the next week or so, as well as start cleaning up the site in preparation.
Have you applied for demo permits?
I'm waiting on the National Grid to disconnect one more meter, and then I will be doing that.
All right. So, I mean, I think, in a way, the demo's a little bit independent of what the project is, on the assumption that you'd probably be demolishing in any case, but you need the demo permit from the building commissioner, and I suppose it is somewhat at risk without having the site plan review decision in place and filed with the clerk and the appeal period done. So I don't know if any of the board members have any thoughts on that.
Larry?
Well, I mean, it's for the applicant. I think Martha's correct that it's really a separate decision. I mean, my guess is those buildings are going to come down no matter what we do.
Yeah.
So, but it's certainly, it is at risk at this point.
Okay, thank you. George?
I think probably we can't allow authorization to go forward. And of course, is a question for town council, perhaps not.
Okay.
That might be a more secure answer.
Thank you, George. Leslie?
I think, well, in the not coming from a legal standpoint, but the demolition of the building that has suffered from a fire for safety reasons, I would think that would be the best thing to do, is to bring it down anyway.
Okay.
Not go forward with any kind of construction after that, but just to bring that down for safety reasons.
Thank you, Leslie. Woody?
If the utility is taken off, it is at his risk, but I don't see a problem if the building inspector issues a demolition permit to take the garage and the house down. I don't see that as a problem.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other additional comments. With that said, do I have a motion to continue this public hearing to April 21st? It would be 7:15 following the other public hearings. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Discussion, Larry?
No.
Discussion, George?
None.
Discussion, Leslie?
No.
Discussion, Woody?
No.
On the motion, how do you vote, Larry?
Yes.
Thank you. George, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Leslie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Woody, thank you. Woody, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And the chair is in favor as well. Okay, Martha?
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, guys. And you'll be back.
Thank you.
21st. You're most welcome. Okay, next on our agenda is public hearing, continuance, public hearing, site plan review application, 3 Newbery Court Turnpike map R47 lots 38, 39. Owner applicant Barrio Family Realty 2 LLC, continued from February 3rd, 2021. Okay, so Martha, do we have some revised plans and architectural drawings that were submitted to the board?
Yes, we do have revised plans and architectural drawings that were submitted to the board last Wednesday, and they've been sent to the planning board members. And I think TJ is here representing the applicant from Millennium, and Phil Kritikos, the architect, is also here.
Okay. And just for clarification, okay, that's good. Okay, who would like to kick us off? TJ or Phil?
I'll start. Good evening, TJ Melvin with Millennium Engineering on behalf of the applicant. So just a brief update on where we're at in the process. We received the site plan approval from Newbery Port Planning Board a few weeks back, and we had forwarded that decision on to Martha. We actually received a approval last night from the select board for the water supply protection overlay district special permit as well. As far as the site plans, we made one minor revision. It was a note on a detail as requested by Joe Sawaka. And Phil had met with Martha and has revised the architectural plans. I can bring them up and Phil can go through the changes and kind of take any comments that the board may have.
Okay, great. Phil, are you going to screen share or TJ?
I will be TJ.
I've just enabled you to do that.
Okay, thank you. So I'm assuming we're going to want to start with the elevations.
So do you want to describe the changes?
Yeah, so what I did is just modified the look of the existing design, bumped out the areas around the windows to give it some more accent, removed one of the roof bands on the perimeter of the building, and added a wainscoting on the bottom of the at the grade level of the building. That's primarily it.
Okay, let me first start. Larry, do you have any questions or concerns or comments?
No.
Okay. George, any questions, concerns, or comments?
None.
Leslie, any questions, concerns, or comments?
No.
Woody, any questions, concerns, or comments?
No, I do not.
Okay, I'll have a question or two. Were we trying to plot this down on like a visual of what this would actually look like on the landscape? Was that a request? Martha, did we make that request?
Oh, we did. We had a very good conversation. We did talk about the possibility maybe of sort of inserting this into an aerial photo of the area. And he's got the Subway Domino's building right next to it, but not the whole context of the traffic circle.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have that capability to do a photorealistic view with the context of the surroundings. So that's my limit right there.
Understood. I wouldn't be able to do it either.
All right.
Several years ago, we wouldn't even be able to look at that in 3D.
Yeah. Right. So I'll try to express a concern. I think it's had been held in our conversations before, Phil, and I'm sorry if anything sounds redundant here, but I haven't had an opportunity to speak with you directly. So the area doesn't have a lot of landscaping per se. So there's going to be this 3-story red building that's going to be kind of standing up there. That's going to be very, very noticeable. Different than other buildings that are in that area. And I think Martha has indicated that. Bless you, Leslie.
Thank you.
And didn't know if there's a way to not have it stick out so looking like a big red barn. And that's not to make your rendition inappropriate, because I saw the rendition of what took place in Topsfield, and it was perfect, but it fit the environment, because you had wooded area behind it and you had a rail trail behind it, so it plugged in very nicely. Where this thing, this building is going to be kind of on its own. Have you seen the site, Phil?
Yes, I've been by it several times. I'm very familiar with it. Yes.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, like you just mentioned, the owner wanted to replicate as closely as possible the depot in Topsfield, and since it's near a railroad station, that's what their aim was, and I tried to do that as well as I could. If that's not what the board is looking for, maybe we can change the look, make it more contemporary, and change some of the features. As you've been talking through the night, I've been thinking about possibilities of what we could do, and I can pose that to the board. The color, I understand. The color is a color. We can put up any color we want: blue, green, white, gray. But we can change that. But we can do also other features to the building instead of. And I've been. Someone mentioned the curved roof forms on the front and the sides. So we could do things like that, and see what you think.
The other option is we could ask the MBTA just to extend the trains down a little bit.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Front door pickup.
Yeah. No. I appreciate the openness to look at this, and I'm glad that we're able to meet face to face, Bill. So it sounds to be like there's some negotiating space in that, from what
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to talk to my client and see what. I'm sure that they'll be willing to give it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Martha, any thoughts now that I've kind of jumped onto this whole building thing?
Nothing additional. As I said, Phil and I had the opportunity to have a good discussion, and I saw his initial reference point, and I understand perfectly why that was chosen. And it's a wonderful building.
Yeah.
That was his reference. This is a little bit of a different structure as a 3-story building. I think if it were possible to increase the roof height, bring the eave down so that the top floor was dormered or something like that, that would be a different thing. But, spatially that doesn't work with the square footage inside. But I did do, I just took a kind of a drive around there today via street view and looking at all the other buildings in that context. And this is, other than the courthouse, this is significantly higher than all the other buildings in the area. So it will definitely have a presence. And, one certainly can't say that there are any great architectural examples at the traffic circle, but, I think as it is now, and again, I really appreciate the reference, where Phil started with this. I think the color will probably maybe draw a little bit more attention to it. I appreciate the effort to modulate the exterior a little bit. So I think it's, it's going in a direction, and what the board needs to do is to, make a determination as one of the criteria in terms of how it fits into the context in terms of massing and scale and materials and things like that. So.
Okay. It is 3-story. That's the thing. I think it was 2-story. It might be fit in a little bit, snuggled down a little bit, closer.
Right, or 2.5 stories. But the fact that it's 3 and it's got to be a relatively shallow pitched roof because of our limitations in zoning. There are some constraints there.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So we've had a good discussion. I think, Phil, I appreciate your understanding and willingness to be flexible with this process. Okay, good. Let me see if the board, if there are already written down the questions. Okay, Martha, do you have any? We talked a little bit, but do you want to give the voting on the select board? from last night?
Right, so last night, as was noted, the select board did vote to grant the water supply protection overlay district special permit. They referenced a couple of conditions based on, I'm just reaching it here. Joe's review letter, which talked about making approvals contingent upon conducting additional deeper test pits in the area of the bioretention area after the installation of erosion controls and before any site work. So they incorporated that as a condition in their approval.
Okay, wonderful. Do you have any, are there any public, I don't see any public individuals out there for comments or questions?
No, we've received no public comment. There was an email from the fire department basically saying that they've met their criteria, and obviously there'll probably be further discussions regarding fire protection within the building itself.
Okay. I'm just going to run down the line real quick. Any other questions or concerns at this time? Otherwise, I want to move into decision criteria. Larry?
No.
Okay, great. George?
No.
Leslie?
No, but did we ever do a site walk on this? Just to get a better feel. I mean, I feel comfortable with most any design that's going to go in there because everything down there is kind of an industrial look. So nothing seems to conform with what the landscape of the community is because it's in an industrial area. So I'm going to say I don't have any problem with it.
And to answer your question, we didn't do a site walk there, and I think one of the reasons was the site is so visible, unlike many of the other ones that we deal with, which are heavily wooded. So I think it was.
I guess my question was, just as far as like the water overlay district and things like that, just to make it more comfortable. But I'm good with it.
Okay, great. Woody?
A clarification, and this is, I guess, from what Martha was just saying previously. I guess I didn't quite understand what you were saying. If you, with the third floor in mind, if you were to dormer that would change the pitch of the roof. Were you saying that's not a possibility, or I didn't understand what you said about that?
Well, I might address that to Mr. Kritikos, but I think if you do that, then you start losing square footage in the units that are up on the third floor.
On the inside?
On the inside, right.
Okay. So I didn't know if you said it was a zoning.
No, I mean, the zoning is, we've got a zoning height restriction of 35 feet from mean grade to mean height of roof. And so with three floors and, certain floor to floor height, that doesn't leave you a lot of height from the eave to the peak of the roof in this case.
Okay, thanks. I understand better now. All right.
Okay, Martha, I think I'd like to kind of quickly go through our criteria. Just did it on the last. I think the board will probably see the components that we might need to have concerns with. So I'm going to kind of go through these quickly. I don't think that 6A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 apply. With regards to B, I do not believe that B applies. There's no stone walls. Stormwater management, I don't think that's going to be a concern. I think that's being addressed by peer review. Am I speaking inappropriately, Martha?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. With regards to D, pedestrian safety and vehicles, I don't think there's, but I don't want to just fly through these. Larry, any questions with or concerns with D?
No.
Okay. George?
The only question I had was about people making entry and exit from the rotary. The more I think about it, putting everybody in place, I think it's okay.
Okay, great. Leslie?
I agree with Larry and George.
Woody?
I agree as well. I don't think there's an interference there.
Okay.
With the adjacent business or anything else.
Okay, I don't have any additional concerns. With regards to provide adequate access to a structure of fire and emergency, Larry?
No.
Okay.
No issue.
George?
No.
Okay, great. Leslie?
None.
Woody?
No.
And the chair doesn't either. With regards to minimize obstruction of scenic views from publicly accessible locations, Larry?
No.
George?
No.
Woody?
No.
Leslie?
No.
The chair doesn't either. With regards to minimize visual intrusions by controlling the visibility of parking, storage, or other outdoor services, areas viewed from public ways, premises, residential use, or zone. Larry?
No, nothing.
George?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Okay, not here. Minimize intrusion of headlights and site lighting. Larry?
No.
George?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Okay, none here. I, which would be minimize unreasonable departure from character and materials and scale of buildings and vicinity from public ways. I think we've talked about this a bit. Anything additional to our conversation? Larry?
No, I have nothing to add.
Okay, great. George, anything additional to the conversation?
No.
Okay, thank you. Leslie?
No.
Great, thank you. Woody?
No.
Okay, so just Martha, from our comments that we've made, I'll let you kind of figure out the narrative that we need to go from there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Jay, contamination of groundwater from any source. Larry? Prevent contamination. Okay, thank you.
No, I think that's been dealt with.
Yes, I hope so. Let George.
I think it's been resolved.
Yeah, Leslie?
No problem.
Woody?
No.
Very good, thank you. Enhance the appearance of the property to the greatest degree possible by means of landscaping and other amenities. Larry?
No, I don't see anything there.
Okay, George?
No.
Great. Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Okay, nor does chair. L, minimize impacts to the use of adjacent properties through regulation of hours, operations, deliveries, noise, rubbish removal, or on-site storage. Larry?
No, I don't believe so.
Thank you. George?
No.
Thank you. Leslie?
No.
Thank you. Woody?
No.
Nor does the chair. And M, ensure compliance with the provisions of Newbery zoning bylaws, including parking and signs. Larry?
No.
George?
No.
Leslie?
No.
Woody?
No.
Nor does the chair. Martha, any other concerns that we need to think about from what we discussed? You have a pretty good roadmap, I think, for site plan review criteria.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Phil or TJ, any other comments or questions for the board?
No, I'm good at this point.
Okay, thanks,
Phil.
Thank you, TJ, and thank you, Phil, for joining us tonight. Okay, so do we have a sense for Martha to draft the decision, Larry?
Yeah, I think so. I think we can move forward.
Okay, great. George?
Yes.
Okay, Leslie?
Yes.
Woody?
Yes.
All right. That being the case, Martha, do you need a motion to get that going, or do you just want direction?
Let's see. Can't remember if we made a motion on the last one.
That's
Not sure if you want to make a motion.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to direct Martha to start the draft.
So move.
I think George motioned, and Larry, do you want a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion, Larry?
No.
Discussion on the motion, George?
No.
Discussion on the motion, Leslie?
No.
Discussion on the motion, Woody?
None.
Great. On the motion, how do you vote, Larry?
Yes.
Great. George, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Leslie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Woody, how do you vote?
Yes.
And the chair also votes in favor as well. Okay, continuation date. Martha, your plate's getting full.
Again.
So we have 3 continuances on the 21st. I don't think I want to plop a 4th one on you. Larry, I like you a lot and I want to keep you here.
All right, thank you.
So that being the case, TJ, are you okay if we go to May 5th or May 5th?
Yeah, I guess if we could get some maybe preliminary feedback on the architecture beforehand.
Oh, yeah. I think you'd have that probably in the next couple of weeks because this would be for the decision to come back and then for us to vote on the decision, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we could, get any further comment and try to address ahead of that.
Yeah, this is getting close to the finish line, TJ.
Okay.
Strange as it may seem.
Yeah, that's fine. May 5th.
Okay, then I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing to the 5th of May at 7:15, if that works. Martha, is that a good date and time for you first off?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'd accept the motion then to continue this public hearing for the 5th of May, 7:15.
I move that we continue this public hearing until the 5th of May at 7:15 p.m.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, discussion on the motion, Larry.
No discussion.
Great. Oh boy, it's getting tiring. George, any discussion?
No.
Great. Leslie, discussion?
No.
Woody, discussion?
No.
Okay, on the motion, how do you vote, Larry?
Yes.
Great. George?
Yes.
Great. Leslie?
Yes.
Wonderful. Woody?
Yes.
Great. And the chair also is in the affirmative. TJ and Phil, thank you very much. Phil, looking forward to further conversations with you and Martha and TJ as well. Thank you. Thank you
very much.
Great. Thank you all.
All right. Let's see where we are.
George is leaving the building.
All right, George. Thank you very much, sir.
Good night, George.
Just good night. I think we're pretty close to wrapping this up anyways, George. You want to stay for the stroke of midnight?
No.
All right.
That's an honest answer.
I love honest answers.
Elvis wants to leave the building.
All right. Martha, do we have any other MVPC? We did all of our liaison reports.
Yeah, I think we covered it all.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's being the case. 8:53, I'm loving this. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
That was said in unison, so I'm not sure who said it. Leslie made the motion. Leslie, Larry, do you want to?
I will second it.
Beautiful, beautiful. On the motion, any discussion, Larry?
No discussion, no.
Leslie, discussion?
None.
Discussion? No. Please say
No.
Oh, good. Okay. On the motion, Larry?
Yes.
Yes. Leslie?
Yes.
Woody?
Yes, and good night, everyone.
Yes, and I think it would be most appropriate. Martha, thank you very much. Emily, thank you very much. And everyone have a very good evening.
You too.
Thank you, and all the same to you.
All right, good night.
Good night.